Welcome to Kara Speaks, where the truth runs deep. Faithful, healed, and free. Real talk, real growth. Let the Spirit speak. Stories that set you free. Becoming who you're meant to be. Welcome to the conversation. Kara Speaks.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Kara Speaks. Thank y'all all for watching once again. If you can go ahead and like, share this video, subscribe. Number one, let me go ahead and put the banner up. Subscribe to the channel. Okay, y'all see the banner? Subscribe. If you listen on the podcast, go to them three dots in the corner, hit follow. Follow the podcast. Leave me comments. Let me know that you are watching. What country are you watching from? I see a lot of people in my analytics that are watching from different countries. I see Jamaica in there a lot. Y'all watching me in Jamaica? What's up? I've been to Jamaica before. Beautiful country, by the way. Let me know where you're watching from. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you got going on. Tell me what you love about the show. What topics do you want to hear me talk about on here? Again, I am not a therapist. Okay, that is my disclaimer. I think I'm going to give a disclaimer every single episode to let people know I am not a therapist. I am not a psychiatrist, psychologist, or a mental health professional. So if you are taking what I say and applying it to yourself, I think that you should seek a licensed professional for all your mental health needs, because I am only speaking from my own personal experience. Okay, I am only talking about my life, what I learned, how I overcame, and what I'm continuing to learn through faith, through relationships, through life, through prayer. I'm just talking about me. And if you happen to resonate with it, wonderful. If you don't, wonderful. We are all different. We are not meant to be the same. We all have similarities, but we are just different people having different life experiences. But we also have the same emotions. We also get upset. We also get angry, happy, sad. We experience joy. We experience grief. All of those things are the same. Manifestation may change, but the principle remains the same. And that is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those emotions that we all feel. I just have a different experience. So that's what I talk about over here on Kara Speaks. And today, what I am talking about is spinning the block. Spinning the block. Y'all know what I'm talking about. How many times, my ladies, have you spent the block on an old boyfriend, on a man, on an old friend, or a fling, might I say? That man, doggone well you shouldn't be talking to. That one where, he been on the do not contact list and you took him off the do not contact list. You took him off the block list. You put him on the block list, took him off the block list. Put him on the block list, took him off the block list. Y'all know the ones I'm talking about. You done spent the block on them. Or let's talk about friendships. Well, you done spent the block on a friend. You done cut him off, and you cut him off abruptly. And then you done decide, you know what? I'm going to reach out to them. And then when you reach back out to them, you realize why you stopped being friends with them in the first place. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about spinning the block. And I want to talk about my own personal experience, okay? We're going to talk about it from a place of emotional maturity. Okay, we're going to talk about it from a place of closure. Because I used to be the spin the block queen. And I guess you can kind of say, I guess it depends on what perspective you're looking at it, is that could be seen as toxic behavior, or it can be seen as somebody who is indecisive about what they want. And I used to spin the block when friendships, relationships, situationships didn't matter. It didn't matter. If I left, I was probably going to come back. Now, why? Why did I just continue to go back to situations or people that I left? Sometimes it was because I was bored. In the sense of situationships, it was simply because I was bored. Okay. And obviously for the obvious, it was the physical action and the physical need at the time. Then other times I would come back because I thought that maybe I misjudged you or prejudged you. Maybe I didn't leave the situation correctly. Maybe I didn't say the right thing. Maybe I didn't communicate enough. Let me reach back out to them, right? Sometimes when we keep going back to things, it's because of our anxious attachment. And I have an anxious avoidant attachment, which is the reason why I'm a person like I either want to fix it. And then when I'm faced with conflict and I feel uneasy, like, oh no, I'm gonna just leave you alone so I ain't got to deal with it. That's what avoiding comes in, right? So for me, when I would go back and forth, it sometimes I wanted what felt familiar. I wanted something that felt like love, even though it really wasn't love. I wanted something that felt like community, even though it wasn't. I can't say that I ever missed anybody that I went back to. If I'm being honest, I didn't. I think if you're being honest, you can probably say, especially my ladies, we don't be missing that man. We don't miss him. We don't miss him. We just be missing what we felt when we were with them. And we damn sure didn't need them. I think you needed something temporarily. I think in the moment we could probably say we needed something temporarily, but it ain't really need, it's a want. And in that time when we're apart from those people, I think we romanticize the good moments. We romanticize that and we focus on the temporary emotional relief that we had instead of thinking about what we needed, what those core needs were when we were there. You're not really attached to the person. You're attached to what you felt when you were with them. And that's very different than saying they gave me what I needed. So the mistake I made when I would leave a friendship or relationship is I would leave suddenly or abruptly. And you know what? Let me take that back, because I don't think that I would leave suddenly or abruptly. I would leave angry and frustrated. That's the better word. That is the honest thing to say. I would leave angry and frustrated. I always say when you leave a situation, you got to leave the right way. Leave with a clear mind and leave with a clear heart. Don't leave angry and frustrated. Don't leave with resentment. Don't leave exhausted. Leave with clarity. That's leaving the right way. And sometimes leaving the right way may not even be a conversation. Sometimes the conversation need to be had within you. Process why you're leaving so you don't have to keep doubling back. And when you don't process why you're leaving, then you're just running away. You're escaping the discomfort. And when you don't process what you feel, you start editing the story and you start romanticizing the good times. You start saying, I really had fun when I'm with them. They were funny. I like the conversations that we had. Skipping over the parts about, well, did you get what you needed though? Your core needs. I ain't talking about nothing temporary. I ain't talking about nothing surface level. Did you get what you needed within your soul and your depth? Instead of thinking about the good times, let's talk about the real. Let's talk about what you got consistently with them. Because when you don't process, you remove all the reasons at why you left, and it only leaves memories that feel good to you. Because that's what I used to do. When I used to leave, I did not process why I left. I just said, boom, I don't like this. I don't want to, boom. I felt like I didn't explain to them over and over and over. They're not going to change. They're avoiding. They being who they are, who they are. Boom, I'm gone. And instead of sitting in that discomfort, sitting in why my feelings were hurt, what didn't I get to say? What do I need in this moment? I suppressed it. I moved on. And then as time went by, I sat there and I thought about, dang, we really had a good time. I really laughed a lot when I'm with them. Now I done forgot all the stuff that I didn't get with them. Now I done forgot the conversation that we had where I felt like there was no depth. Now I forgot the lack of capacity that they had. Now I forgot that I was never met in my depth. Now I forgot that I was giving more to them than they ever gave to me. Now I forgot all of that stuff, and now I'm thinking about how many jokes we had together. Now I'm thinking about how good the adult relations were with that man, instead of thinking about how his mind was. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all feel me on that? Is that we forget about how we felt when our core needs weren't being met. Instead, we think about the physical things that we felt, the good things that we felt, that we know were fleeting. They were temporary. You didn't feel that goodness all the time. That wasn't consistent for you. What was consistent for you was confusion, was uncertainty, was always looking over your shoulder to see if they really fuck with you like they did. What was consistent was the Holy Spirit constantly tapping you on your shoulder, telling you to use your discernment. That was consistent. But we forget that when we allow time to pass, right? What they say, time heals all wounds. I don't believe that. I do not believe that time heals all wounds. Work does. Doing the work does. Work heals people. Work heals the wound. Time just creates distance. It fades the memory. It lessens the pain. It dulls the pain. Work, doing the work creates understanding. Whatever that work is for you. Again, I'm not no therapist. I can't tell you what your work is, but I can tell you what my work was. My work was holding myself accountable. Saying, Kara, when you were in those situations, did you communicate clearly? Did you know what your core needs were? Did you identify them? Did you speak about what your core needs were? When they were talking to you, did you listen to them when they told you what they had the capacity for versus what they didn't? Did you pursue them anyway? Did you shrink yourself? Why did you shrink yourself? Because you didn't have to do that. You should have. Did you have the courage to advocate for yourself? Were you passive aggressive? What could you have done different? How could you have communicated differently? That's the accountability. That was the work for me. And then it comes with the self-reflection. The self-reflection was identifying my core needs. What do I need? How can I show up as a better me so I don't feel depleted and drained the next time I come across another relationship or a friendship? The work was therapy. Naming what I felt, being truthful about what I felt, and being truthful about the situation. Learning how to emotionally regulate in moments of confrontation and conflict so I don't revert to that anxious, we got to fix now. Learning how to pause during those uncomfortable moments. The work was prayer, reading my Bible, listening to biblical lectures, journaling. Because a part of having anxious attachment is having so many thoughts. Like I said, I used to overthink so much because I felt unsafe and uncertainty. So I would have to try to think my way to safety. So journaling allowed me to get my thoughts off and to slow my mind down. And then once I got done journaling, I would read back what I wrote and I would realize, okay, this is what I feel. And when I wrote it down, I realized, oh my goodness, this is kind of chaotic. So the more that I started to journal, the clearer my thoughts became. And at that point, I was able to just be honest with myself. I had to be able to evaluate who I was in those friendships, who I am today, and who I am today needs something different than who I was previously, because the old version of me needed something totally different. The version of me today gave myself what the old version of me needed. Emotional security, clarity, validation. You know, when I think about those old relationships and friendships, I say, would I choose them today? Would I choose? And I think that's a question that we all should ask ourselves when we are in a season of transition, when we have grown and we realize, you know what, I wasn't my best self in the past when I was with those people, especially when you're thinking about spending the block on somebody. You need to think about who you were then. And as many times as you ruminate, like, man, I wish I never said that. I wish I never did. I should have never let them get, do me like that. I should have never believed them. You can say, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. You can regret all the things, right? Okay, cool. Boom. You did it. It's over with. And now you've grown. But now think to yourself, okay, now that I know all of that about myself today, would I choose them today? And only you can answer that for yourself, because you got to think about what, because especially if you know what your core needs are. I know what my core needs are today. I know I need emotional presence. I know I need consistency. I know I need emotional honesty. I know those things are important for me. I need emotional depth. Those are things that I need at my core, right? And I'm talking about for somebody who wants to do life with me. I'm talking about a friendship, foundational things, right? So I know that these are things that I need. This is who I need today. I wasn't aware of those things before. I felt the absence of them. I just didn't have the language for it. So if I know I need those things today, I know that the people of my past who I chose before, I know that they cannot offer me that today. And that's no shade. That ain't no knock to them at all, because I might not be able to offer them what they need today. You know, ain't no knock to them. Did I love them? Yes, deeply, deeply. Did we have history, familiarity, good moments? Yes. Did we have fun? Absolutely. Did we laugh? Did we have inside jokes? Did we have a good time being around each other? Yes. Yes, we did. But that was temporary. Did it feed my soul? No. Did I get what I needed at my core? No. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. I don't need them to be bad people in order to understand, in order for my truth to be true. They don't need to be bad people. I can say, yeah, we had fun, but I can also still say they can't offer me what I need. That's okay. Everybody ain't meant for you. They were meant for me in that season because I needed them to grow. I needed them to come to understanding of who I am today. I needed that. I needed that experience. But I got to be honest and, and say, with the healed version of me choosing today? And the answer is no. It's no. You know, we got to stop trying to reopen old wounds simply because we bored or we feel lonely, Nostalgia can make us return to stuff that is unhealthy and that will set us back. And I want to also speak to the other side, because I've been the person to double back and spin the block, but also been the person who people spin the block on too. I've been the person who opened the door for the person who has spun the block. I've been on both sides of it, and I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all have been on both sides of it. You've been the one where somebody has tried to regain access to your life after walking out of it, and what you do, you let them back in, didn't you? Because I think the same reasons for me spinning the block on them about maybe I misjudged them, maybe I prejudged them, was the same reason why I opened the door and gave them access again, because of the same reasons. Maybe I prejudged them out of boredom, loneliness, whatever it is. But what that does for you as the person, or what that does for the other person who you're spinning the block on, you're disrupting their peace. You're disrupting that, because you have to understand whether you are, emotionally connected to that person or not, whether you love them or not, there is a transition that must happen in that time and space, especially if you do love them, because you have to grieve that person not being in your life. You have to go through that. You got to grieve it. And when somebody comes back into your life, you done started the grief process all over again, especially if they haven't changed. Because in that time, you're changing, you're evolving, you're trying to understand. If they come and disrupt that, now you disrupting what the Father is doing in them. You're disrupting what the Father is trying to teach them. And you're allowing them to disrupt you, and you're not listening to what the Holy Spirit is telling you. Because if they left your life for they left your life for a reason, and there was a lesson that you need to learn. If you walk out of somebody's life, don't just assume that you can just come back in. People sometimes spend months, years grieving, reprocessing, rebuilding, that sometimes you just can't go back. Sometimes reconciliation is not possible, because you can't just keep reopening a wound. And the reason why you can't keep reopening the wound is because how sometimes you'll get a scratch or something, or a bruise or whatever, and it'll seemingly heal, right, until you bump it up against something and you realize that's still tender. It ain't as healed as I thought it was gonna be. right? That's what it's like when you let somebody back in your life thinking that you done healed from it, and you bump it up against something again. Then they do something, they have show a behavior that reminds you why you left them where they at the first time, because you reminded, this part of me ain't healed yet. You got to go. That keeps reopening the wound. I used to reopen the wound all the time because I felt like I had unfinished business. Going back to maybe I prejudged him. I used to leave situations thinking that it was unfinished. No, it wasn't unfinished. For years, I thought that, my unfinished business with people was, oh, we need to have the final conversation. We got to have a closure. We never talked about what we needed to talk about. The unfinished business was not in the person. The unfinished business was in me. It was in me. It was in me because I needed to figure out why I needed validation from this person that wasn't good for me. Not to say that they weren't good, they just weren't good for me. Why did I need validation from people? Am I lonely? Am I bored? I got to figure that out. What fear am I holding on to? Do I have this fear? Why I keep reaching out to this? Am I fearing that I'm never going to find somebody like this again? What am I attached to? And also, the biggest thing of it all is the abandonment wounds, because that is what drives our decisions. A lot of the times, it's the fear of being abandoned. That's why I have this anxious attachment. I fear being abandoned. The fear is still there. I just act differently now. When I'm faced with conflict, I'm calm. The thoughts still come, but they don't control me. I rest in my spirit. I stand. And I let the Father do his work. I let him do his work in me. And I allow I allow him to do his work in them too. So we can come to a mutual understanding. We don't have to talk right now. I know that the relationship is not going to be over. And if it is over, then that's how it's meant to be. It ain't my job to fix it. I don't have to do the emotional labor to keep the relationship together, because if this person is meant to be in my life, they're going to do the emotional work too. And that's not and if they don't do it, if they don't decide to do it, if they don't choose me to be in their life, that's no reflection on me. It doesn't say anything about my self-worth. It doesn't say anything about the care of the person. I don't internalize it anymore. I accept it for what it is. It's okay. I'm just going to take this, I'm going to leverage this situation, and I'm going to get a lesson out of it. And it's going to make me better regardless. That's where I am now. That's how I face my abandonment issues now. And that's also why I don't spin the block anymore. Because I realized that who I am today is not who I was in the past. So in order for me to reach out to anybody from my past that I have had to, separate from, would be an abandonment of myself today, because I know that they can't offer me what I need today. They couldn't offer me what I needed then. So what would be different today? The only reason that I would reach back to them before would be the same reason that I reached back to them then: familiarity, for temporary relief. Well, now it ain't even no temporary relief, because I've already found it within myself through faith and prayer and therapy. I have no reason to spin the block now. Not because, I hate them or I got beef with them or, I'm bitter. It ain't about none of that. It's because I finally understand why I was spinning the block on people. I get it now. I understand myself now. I wasn't searching for them. I didn't truly miss them. I was searching for something that was inside of me that was already there, my own validation. And once I gave myself what I was looking for, I don't have an urge to go back anymore. So those people in my past, whoever it is, friends, relationships, old flings, child, there is no room for them here now. And like I said, it's no shade. It's just that, like, I have expanded and grown so much that it's just no room for things that don't feed me, And it doesn't mean that, I don't care about them. I care about their well-being. I care about them, being prosperous in life. I care about them as if I care about any other human being in the world. It's just that I care about myself too. And I finally have the clarity that I needed about what I want. And, you know, and clarity is so hard to abandon after you fought for it, after you fought so hard to get it. It's so hard to just give that up. I can't give up the work that I've been doing. I cannot give up a piece of myself anymore. I can't give up this part of myself. I gave up so much in the past. I gave up so much, and I worked so hard to get here, to be okay with myself, to not just to be okay, but to be happy, to have joy about where I am, to have grown, to understand myself better. I said healing cost me everything, and I meant every single word. It cost me the old version of me. It cost me friendships. It cost me time, energy. It cost me so much that I can't go back to that. I can't, and I don't have a desire to. And I thank Yahweh for that, because the old version of me would have continued to repeat those patterns. And I had to learn how to stop that. So, that's just me. So my question for you is, would you choose them today? Would you choose them today? That's something you got to ask yourself. I can't answer that question for you. You know yourself better than anybody else know you. So, pray about it. Evaluate yourself, do that emotional inventory, and you'll get your answer. That's all I got for y'all this time right here on this episode of Kara Speaks. Stay tuned every single Tuesday for a new episode. Also, stay tuned every other week so far for the calling series, where I have guests on who are walking in their purpose, who are talking about what they do and why they do what they do. I've had a few guests on who I have really been encouraged by to keep doing it. It really feeds my soul to talk to other people who have the same type of vision of creating that I do, because it shows me that, number one, I'm not alone in what I feel when I'm in the creative process. And also it lets me see, other people's process, to show that, hey, we all just trying to run our race. We all trying to run our race, and we're all striving to get something. And I love to see other people's faith while they're doing it too, because it strengthens my faith, and I hope that when I come up here and I say my feelings and I talk about my faith, I hope that it strengthens yours, because we're supposed to be planting seeds in one another to grow, not planting seeds that are weeds that chokes people's drive and spirit and makes them doubt themselves. We're supposed to be planting seeds that brings people joy. We're supposed to be planting seeds that strengthens people's faith and brings them closer to the Father. We are all just vessels. And so, yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening, if you listen on the podcast. And I'll see y'all next time right here on Kara Speaks, where we live faithful, healed, and free. Follow this podcast and connect with me at karaspeaks.com, and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Kara Speaks.